We are actually fourth dimensional beings in a third dimensional body inhabiting a second dimensional world. Neil Cassidy. Good evening again. This is my second video of the night. I think I might do a third one. I don't know yet. We'll see about that. Okay, so you can always donate if you like my content on Bitcoin or Vertcoin, $0 since I've had those addresses up for over 16 months. You can verify them with the Blockchain Explorer. These are ones taken out of my Patreon when I had it and given to Susan Dawson. And of course, you can also see on Vertcoin blockchain, of course, there's nothing there. You can always do a Google Super Chat if you want, but Google takes a big chunk out of it. PayPal.me is available. At the beginning of the first video of the month, I will do a thank you and disclose how much money I received through Google Super Chat and PayPal.me for that month and all months total. And of course, PayPal.me was started on September 22nd, 2019. You can always join me on these sessions where I'm talking about a topic. Sometimes I will have you either in the waiting room or ask you to mute if I am still going through a particular topic that I want people to see. And if you don't have any money to donate, just prove the globe Earth and get $15,000 from Zen Garcia, then donate to me a 10% finder's fee. I mean, that should be pretty easy money. A lot of people believe the Earth is a globe, and of course, mainstream media, government, etc., will tell you that it is so. So it should be easy to prove and to get a court to, or a judge to say, yeah, Earth was proven. You get $15,000 from Zen Garcia, who held a contest. Okay, so this one is I was watching High Impact Vlog so far. I still like his content. Basically, he did a video of there was a guy who was approached by someone who flashed his gun, and there was a scuffle, and he intervened, disarmed the fellow and hit him over the head, then called the police. Police came and they cuffed him and arrested him, and he went to jail. The person who had the gun didn't get cuffed. I think they probably got carried away in the ambulance or something. But anyways, you can watch the entire video. It's only 10 minutes and 40 seconds long. Now, when I was thinking about this, or watching this, I was thinking at, all right, let's look at the Kennesaw Police Department. But then I saw, Google reviews, 2.1 stars out of 5. And I was looking at other places like Fresno. I know I did a couple of things on Fresno, and Fresno's police department is 2.0 out of 179. And a couple of other places. I was thinking Philly, because Shirley and Philadelphia also had a weird shooting, right? A fake shooting or something fake. 3.0 police, Philadelphia Police Department headquarters, 3.0 out of 37 reviews. I was thinking of Somerville Police Department, where I used to live. I thought they were okay. They've only got 3.1 out of 14 Google reviews. And I was thinking, all right, what about my place? 3.4 out of 5 Google reviews. So far, I haven't had any trouble with Columbus, Nebraska's Police Department. Same thing with Somerville Police Department. But I think a lot of people who would write the reviews or something, because I mean, think about it. Police are there until you need them, and then if everything is good, you don't necessarily do a Google review. right? Saying that they're good. So it could be biased in that way, just so we get that out of the way. But most people will go, hey, this is pretty shady here, and police department did this to me. And of course, you're going to get a pretty bad police review. And so looking into other things is like, all right, let's see how, what happened with Fresno, the police department, because I did a video of it and what they were doing a couple years back. And March 29th of this year, it appears that there's a Fresno police corruption, how a top cop went from hero to federal prison, and talks about former deputy police chief Keith Foster, the second highest ranking officer in one of the largest police departments in the state, went to federal prison last year, convicted of conspiring to deal heroin and marijuana. One of the biggest police corruption scandals of modern California history, and one you probably didn't hear about if you live outside the Central Valley. And it wasn't an isolated incident. More than a dozen Fresno police officers have been arrested in recent years, including some high-profile corruption busts. All of this occurred under the command of the longest-serving and most powerful law enforcement figures in the state, Police Chief Jerry Dyer. All right, this special edition, anyways, you can probably read up on that over on KQED podcast. And I was thinking, okay, what are the 15 most corrupt cities in America? And actually, most corrupt police departments in the United States. This is actually just something that I started typing and it's filled out for me. So I looked at that, and they go through quite a bit. And this is in 2018 by Eric Shaw. ShowbizCheatSheet.com, March 3rd, 2018. He goes, if you thought 2017 was a bad year for corruption in America, you might want to ignore the news in 2018. Before even one month ticked off the calendar, we had police officers indicted, elected officials hauled off in handcuffs, and pay-to-play operations with politicians reaching new heights. In other words, we hope federal prosecutors got plenty of rest over the holidays. The usual signs of budget shortfalls, blatant nepotism, and a corrupt police department may already be plaguing your city. If so, get ready for a stormy year and don't get too attached to your town's new mayor. To come up with a list of the worst places for ethics violations and outright lawlessness in America, we begin with the cities that topped the charts in federal corruption convictions over the past decades. And note, some places may be so corrupt they may be untouchable. I mean, these are the ones that have been busted. They weren't quite untouchable. Compiled by researchers at the University of Illinois at Chicago. In order to get the most up-to-date data, we supplemented that work with reports of recent abuses. Here are the 15 most corrupt cities in America for 2018. Las Vegas. After a 3-year FBI investigation, Las Vegas Councilman Ricky Barlow pleaded guilty to fraud charges and resigned his seat in January 2018. Yet Barlow's disgrace was only the latest incident and has been a hotbed of corruption. Las Vegas investigations into the 2017 mass shooting at Mandalay Bay Casino revealed numerous shady practices of Vegas police and sheriffs. In true corrupt city form, Las Vegas cops actually arrested someone who called to report police brutality he witnessed on the streets in 2017. A years-long FBI corruption probe underway since 2014 should bring many more disturbing facts about the LVMPD to light. Next, Ohio's Northern District has been one of the busiest for corruption cases since the turn of the century. There's Cleveland. If you go by federal corruption convictions, Cleveland ranks in the top 10 among all U.S. cities since 2000. A giant haul came following the Cuyahoga County scandal in which 60 politicians, contractors, and other officials found themselves convicted of various crimes. Things got so bad, county voters replaced the existing government with a new system. Wow, about time. It may be just a medium-sized town in Kansas, but it stinks of corruption and air pollution too. Wichita. Kansas easily ranks among the 10 most corrupt states in America, and you only have to look at lobbyists' comfort level with Governor Sam Brown back to see why. However, Wichita has unique problems of its own. A wide-ranging investigation into corruption and gambling brought indictments against local cops early in 2018. Meanwhile, Cook Industries' coziness with local officials managed to make the relatively small 389,000 population metro area one of the most toxic cities in America. You don't know whether the stench is coming from the corruption or polluted air in Wichita. I did not know about that. Whew. Next, the city hasn't been able to shake its very corrupt roots. Number 12 is Los Angeles. Since the turn of the century, Los Angeles posted 507 corruption convictions, making it an automatic entry on this list. The days of letting the cops who beat Rodney King go free may be over, but clearly there are structural problems city officials have yet to address. That's how you saw DMV officials taking bribes, Compton's mayor found guilty of corruption, and a Veterans Affairs scam just in 2017. LA has a long way to go. Next, with 514 corruption convictions since 2000, this Virginia city is among the worst in America. Richmond, number 11. People don't call this southern city a cesspool of corruption for nothing. Folks gave Richmond the nickname cesspool of corruption for a reason. Outgoing Mayor Dwight Jones escaped an FBI investigation but made sure to handcuff a successor with lavish severance payments to staff late in 2016. Overall, the Virginia Capitol's record is ugly enough for any list of this kind, with 514 corruption convictions on record since the start of the century. Next, even for an East Coast port town, Newark's corruption will boggle the mind. Number 10, Newark. If we told you the city of Newark had 442 corruption convictions between 2000 and 2014, would you believe it? With a population of 280,000, the Low New Jersey Judicial District ranks 6th in all of America for convictions since 1976. The watershed scandal exposed in 2016 actually amazed local observers for the brazenness of the graft operation. When you can wow people in Newark with corruption, it's really something. Speaking of bad things in Jersey, 2 of Governor Christie's aides got federal prison time in 2017 for their roles in the Bridgegate corruption scandal. Then U.S. attorneys took another guilty plea in November when a political fundraiser admitted to wire fraud and tax evasion. Newark is as corrupt as ever in 2018. Next. This southern capital of corruption remains among America's worst. Number 9 is New Orleans. When the New Orleans FBI director left his post late in 2017, he summed up corruption in the Big Easy like this. It can't get much worse. He cited the lack of term limits for sheriffs and district attorneys as hallmarks of bad government. Looking at the number of people going to jail, 334 convictions since 2000, you can see the problem. 2 New Orleans cops went to jail in November for bribery and conspiracy convictions, and won't be the last. Conspiracy theorists, that's what it is. There's no such thing as conspiracies. Next, at the rate it's been going lately, the Motor City will become a fixture on these lists. Number 8, Detroit. No one considers Detroit a bastion of good government, but Motor City did not make the UIC's top 15 most corrupt cities during the 2015 review. Since then, things have flown off the rails a bit. The FBI's massive citywide corruption probe netted 12 convictions and charges against 18 as of December 2017. 6 Detroit cops were indicted on extortion charges the same month. You might say the city is making up for lost time. Next, the big city has always gone big on corruption. Number 7, New York City. You're never too far from a New York Police Department corruption scandal, and that alone keeps the city in the top 10. In 2017, the city watched as 2 cops and a former prosecutor got arrested for a bribery scheme involving gun permits. As for 2018, the year is young, but a Brooklyn Assembly member already got hit with an 11-count indictment from the FBI. New York's gotten better in recent years, but it will take generations to change such a corrupt system. Next, when you have 83 corruption convictions in 1 year, you've got a serious problem. Number 6 is Houston. I was born there. Feels like Tatooine to me, I'm telling you. While places like LA and New York slowed their pace on the corruption cases by 2013, the rapidly growing Houston came on full steam. In that single year, Texas's Southern District posted 83 convictions, most of any city in America. Since 2015, things have not calmed down much. Take Steve Stockman, the former GOP House member from Texas, who was indicted on 20 28 criminal counts in 2017. Stockman faces charges of stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from charities, money laundering, wire fraud, and conspiracy. Oh, conspiracy again. These conspiracy theorists. Agents arrested Stockman as he tried to board a plane to the Arab Emirates. As he waited trial in January, you could find Stockman on Twitter warning citizens of government corruption and doing so without a trace of irony. Next, it was a busy year for FBI agents and federal prosecutors in this Florida city. Number 5, Miami. In recent years, Miami has made the sort of strides you never want to see in your city. First of all, a GOP nominee for the state House of Representatives spent several weeks hiding from U.S. Marshals. It actually won a Republican primary after evading convictions for 2 separate indictments. Meanwhile, the Dade County town of Opalaga had several city officials convicted on bribery charges and other types of fraud. The situation seems to be getting worse. Next, Baltimore seems intent on becoming America's most corrupt city. Number 4, Baltimore. I remember when I used to live in Somerville, Massachusetts, close to Boston, there would be flight trips to Baltimore that was as low as $49 one way. I think maybe even $39. No, $29 on some occasions. Some crazy thing like that. I mean, $29 flight to Baltimore from Boston makes you wonder, why do they really want you to go to Baltimore? And if you go simply by the number of corruption convictions in recent decades, Baltimore only makes number 13 among the worst cities in America. However, going by the exposed police department corruption, this town has gained a lot of ground in 2018. In just 1 month, a sergeant pleaded guilty to racketeering and other federal crimes, while a local businessman got 11 indictments for money laundering. Meanwhile, the entire police department is still reeling from the gun trace task force scandal that would make fans of The Wire blush. A U.S. attorney on the case described the group as both cops and robbers at the same time. And the more you read, the worse it sounds. That's only part of the reason Baltimore's mayor fired the police chief on January 19th. If this list were based on 1 year, Baltimore would have a huge lead for 2018. Next, the past year in Philadelphia sent the city skyrocketing up this list. Number 3, Philadelphia. In the UIC study from 2015, Philadelphia ranked a humble number 8 among America's most corrupt cities. Since then, the elected officials and appointees went to work. You could point to the city parking authority's head hiring her daughter's roommate, but Philly's senior officials would head to federal prison by mid-year. The city endured that disgrace when District Attorney Seth Williams saw himself losing a court case and pleaded guilty to bribery and extortion charges. He received a 5-year sentence in October. These developments, along with a rash of others, sent Philly tumbling up the list. Next, the Windy City remains among the worst for corruption. Number 2, Chicago. This is where Barack Obama was born, right? Or was that Hawaii or Kenya or... You know I'm joking. Okay, actually, Chicago is where Hillary Clinton was born. That's right. Everyone loves Hillary, our next U.S. president, who's going to run in 2020. As I said, after the 2016 loss, and multiple times in 2017, 2018, 2019. And now I think a lot of people are starting to take it for truth. We'll know when she actually formally runs and announces her run. All right, number 2, Chicago, for a stunning blow-by-blow account of 1 year in a big city's corruption. We highly recommend a 2016 UIC report on Chicago. In that document, you'll find false medical billing, prison bribes, aldermen heading to jail, and every other crime you'd expect in an infamously corrupt town. Not much has changed in the past few years. Aldermen still know the inside of prison cells as well as the wars, but there's a new contender in America. Next, DC was always corrupt. Then Trump came to town. I guess this guy doesn't like Trump. I wonder what he thinks of Hillary. Number 1, Washington, D.C. The president can't have a conflict of interest, President Trump said as he weighed options for profiting from his office. Go buy Ivanka's stuff, White House spokesman Kellyanne Conway said, referring to the president's daughter, i.e. the one who works in the White House. No elected official of the government of the United States shall be admitted to any share or part of this lease, reads the old post office charter, which Trump now owns. World leaders love the idea of paying Trump family before having a conversation with him. They do so every day. Somehow, the new ethics chief in D.C. has no problem with flagrant corruption. So if you like swamps, this is the presidency from heaven. The feeling is contagious since Trump brought his kids, business partners, and lawyers to the White House. People barely blinked when billionaire Charles Cook sent Paul Ryan a check for $500,000 after getting billions in free money from the GOP tax plan. Washington, D.C. is officially the world capital of pay to play. After years of low and mid-level corruption, the executive branch and Congress are fully on board. Welcome to Trump's D.C., the most corrupt city in America. I don't say anything wrong in that. All right. Then I did. All right. Let's look at the Supreme Court justice, not just the ones in the United States Supreme Court, but of ones in varying states. Well, there's one where a judge obstructed justice in a $10 million corruption case. This is by the New York Times, if people still regard as mainstream media as something to go by and trust. And we can go ahead and look at that. So this is, the head judge of a state, people. Oh yeah, I can't really read the entire New York Times article, but you could just see Justice Sylvia G. Ash faces federal obstruction of justice charges related to corruption at the Municipal Credit Union. All right, so a lot of bad stuff. That's 2019. Then I just did something. Okay, what about politicians serving prison time? You don't really see a lot of politicians serving prison time, and if they do, it's usually not a lot. So they must have not really drank Kool-Aid much. Washington Times. This is again. There's a lot of politicians that get away with stuff. Hillary Clinton and people like that. Anyways, here we go with this one. Politicians in prison, public servants who've served time. Actually, let's go ahead and make it smaller. Former Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich is serving a 14-year prison sentence for political corruption, including for seeking to sell or trade in appointment to President Obama's vacated U.S. seat in exchange for campaign contributions or a well-paying job. He looks like Rudy. Let's see. Former Illinois U.S. Representative Jesse Jackson Jr. began serving in 2.5-year prison in October 2013 for misusing campaign funds. Former Illinois Governor George Ryan served nearly 6 years for a 2006 conviction of racketeering, conspiracy, that word again. Conspiracy theorists, I'm telling you. Tax fraud and making false statements to the FBI. Former New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin was sentenced to 10 years in prison in July 14th for bribery, money laundering, fraud, and tax violations stemming from his 2 terms as New Orleans mayor from 2002 to 2010. Former Detroit Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick was sentenced to 28 years in prison for corruption in 2013. Former U.S. Representative William Jefferson of Louisiana began serving in 2012. A 13-year sentence for convictions on corruption charges. Former Louisiana Governor Edwin Edwards was released from prison in 2011 after serving 8 years for a felony racketeering conviction arising from the licensing of riverboat casinos in his 4th term. Former D.C. Mayor Marion Barry served 6 months in federal prison for a 1990 drug conviction after a high-profile sting operation by the FBI and city police. He died in 2014. Former Connecticut Governor John Rowland served a year in federal prison after pleading guilty in 2004 to a corruption-related charge. Former Representative James Traficant of Ohio was convicted in 2002 of accepting bribes from businessmen and taking kickbacks from staff members. He served 7 years before his release in 2009. Former California Representative Randy Duke Cunningham, who was convicted of 2005 of accepting $2.4 million in bribes, served nearly 7 years in prison before his release in 2013. So basically, let's see. Oh, look, there's even a list of American and state local politicians. And the list can be pretty big. It's not that big. You would think it'd be a lot more. Especially when we read about, this stuff right here. Most corrupt cities where there's like hundreds of convictions. So this stuff is pretty small cakes as far as the list goes. Right. That's kind of it. I mean, we've got police everywhere, and the public doesn't seem to like quite a bit. Woo. Let's go to Chicago. What people think. South Chicago, maybe. 3.8, 3.2, 3.1, 2.9, 2.3, 2.1. Jeez, that's pretty bad. I mean, I think Seattle was pretty good, right? Seattle Police Department, maybe. We'll see. Well, where am I? Oh, I'm in Canada. All right, let's look around here. Bremerton Police Department, 3.8. Hey, not bad. Of course, that's where the Naval Station is. As far as Seattle Police Department headquarters, 2.9. Renton, 2.9. Redmond, 2.1. I used to work in Redmond. Pretty low, a couple of these places. Southwest Precinct, Seattle Police Department, 4.0. That's pretty high. Bothell, Issaquah, Kirkland, Sammamish, 4.6. Where my brother lives. Pretty nice. Pretty good. Wow, 4.6. I've never seen anything that high. They must be doing a good job. Cool. Wow. You know, I mean, don't a lot of people think like, hey, you know, why is the Google score so low? Reviews. Shouldn't we do something about it? Why can't we be more like Sammamish City Police Department? Anyways, I just think that's funny. Let's see. Let's do Omaha. .6, 2.2, 2.9, 2.5. Southwest Precinct is 3.7, not too shabby. What? Child Victim Department. Omaha Traffic Assembly 1.0. But yeah, 2.6 out of 50 reviews. That's pretty bad. I mean, it's like a 50% score. I mean, think about it. These guys have a lot of power. Okay. And if you had a rating of 2.6 at your job, or even 2.2, do you think you would probably stay at that job? Do you think they would fire you? Do you think they'd keep you, give you a raise, whatever? Yet you get 2.6, 2.2 at for a public position where you're trying to actually, you know, find people who are doing a lot of bad things. Let's just say that that should be probably focused on themselves. Like if they crack down on themselves, they probably get a higher score. And they didn't like crack down on like little people and trying to get a lot of money from a lot of people that they're supposed to serve, right? That was the whole point of everything. Stupid fly. Anyways, interesting thing with this, there's corruption everywhere, even from the police and in the judges and the politicians, people voted in, people appointed, etc., etc., etc. Yeah. What do a lot of people do? They really don't do anything. They don't want to get involved, because you get involved, heck, if you do the right thing, they'll arrest you. You do the wrong thing, they'll arrest you. It's like you just don't want to be involved in any part of it. And then there'll come a time where it's like you're gonna get involved. It's gonna happen one way or another. You probably don't want it, but it's gonna happen. So, and then you're gonna be okay. I should probably have done something about it, but now it's too late. But you're finally out of jail or prison, and you're the one writing the review for these things. Nobody's looking. There's a few people in chat and nobody joined us, so let me just go ahead and see what we're seeing. Maxwell, our Twitter arbitrarily suspended him. Magazog, American troops stationed in Korea caused race mixing. Those race mixers need to leave. They should come back home to America. Tina Colby and Mole should go into state mental health. You would be shocked, which is an understatement. Next are DFCS, which Nancy Schaefer, former Georgia congressman, lost life. Okay. All right. Good stuff, I guess. That's it for this episode. Just let me know what your thoughts are. Maybe in the comments you could list what the Google review score is for your local police department, and if there's been any corruption scandals within your city in 2019. Be interesting to see, right? People watching me seem to live all over the place. All right, so that's it for this episode. I don't know if I'm gonna do another one. I'm kind of tired, actually. It's been a long week, and the weeks are gonna be longer. They're not. They're exactly the same. It's just a lot of stuff happening. All right. If you do see me again, it'll be an hour from now, probably. And if not, you'll probably see me, if not tomorrow night, on Monday night. All right. Thank you, and have a good night.